and gentlemen, I hope every single one of you are doing well. We're back again with another interesting Jay Slater video. There's a few points that I'm still struggling to understand, but there's a point that I'm going to prove in this video. As we know, ladies and gentlemen, we've been discussing the inquest, and there's a lot of information that has come out of that inquest. Information that once again enables us to prove that what's been said by the likes of Ayub is total BS. This whole storyline has been made up. Let's start with Mark Williams Thomas. I went back to his first ever interview, and I realized there was one thing that he never mentioned in that interview. Although he had claimed to have spoken to a large number of witnesses, and one of those witnesses had to have been Brandon. And the reason I say that is because Brandon was the first name he mentioned when someone asked him what witnesses he spoke to. He said that he spoke to a large number of witnesses, and based on the information that he had gathered from the large number of witnesses, he believed that Jay, like he said recently, had come to an accident in the mountains. It's really weird because based on the information that we do know about the stolen Rolex and the videos and the picture and everything that comes with the stolen watch situation, it's really weird that that was never mentioned by Mark Williams Thomas at that point. Video of Ayub driving the car and it's saying stolen the Rolex. That video was known. That video had been seen, especially by Debbie. Debbie confirms that she saw that video. In fact, Debbie confirms it was that video that got sent into the WhatsApp group. And it was a random message from Jay. Nobody expected it. Everyone was like, "Rah, why is Jay sending this into the group for?" She then followed up by saying, "I don't know. It could have been someone sitting next to Jay with his phone." And that's in the Sun exclusive interview that she done after burying her son. So that clearly proves that Debbie still was thinking at that point, something happens to Jay. Something just doesn't sit right. Something strange and mysterious has happened leading up to him being found in the ravine. This is the reason why at the inquest she said no. She wants to see all 5 witnesses in front of her. She wants to know what happened to Jay from leaving the NRG festival and being found in the ravine, because none of the stories make sense. Clearly the information that Debbie has been given doesn't make sense to her, and the only people that can make it make sense for her are the people that was involved. But the point I've been pondering on is why Mark Williams Thomas thought everything was normal based on information he was given by key witnesses, although Jay had put this video of him claiming to have stolen this Rolex with Ayub driving into a WhatsApp group, which was later followed by a picture of himself, allegedly, with a message that's been cleaned up with no typos and changed from 1 Somali kid to 2. But at that point, Mark Williams Thomas doesn't think anything nefarious has happened to Jay. He's just thinking at this point, based on what Brandon has told him, everything was cool with Jay. The reason why Brandon's word doesn't mean shit is because for 1, he hid, but for 2, later on down the line, we find out that he's good friends with Ayub, the guy that took Jay to the Airbnb. When originally we were told by Brandon's best friends, and that's Lucy. Lucy and Brandon come as a couple. Them lot come as partners. They're both the Burnley crew. But through Lucy, we were told that Jay met 2 mysterious men that night. 2 strangers. Even when she was questioned about it again, she still said that Jay met them that night. So we've got the Burnley crew, Brandon and Lucy, with contradicting statements. One claiming Ayub to be a stranger, and Ayub claiming to be Brandon's best mate. How does that make any sense? As I said to you guys before, this is all about perception control, ladies and gentlemen. The aim of the game is to control what people are thinking, what they're feeling, and ultimately what they're believing. And Mark Williams Thomas was their second target. The first target was the family and friends. See, they wanted to make it look like Jay had done something wrong. This is the reason why the video of Ayub driving in a car and Jay claiming to have stolen a Rolex was sent to a family WhatsApp group. They wanted to make it look like that Jay was up to no good, got himself involved in some drama, and he had stolen this Rolex and he's off with these guys somewhere. That's exactly the perception you get when looking at that video from a family or friend's perspective. Oh, what's Jay done now? So now we've got this video that's been sent from Jay's phone into this family and friend WhatsApp group. Then it's back to perception control, because Lucy's going to come forward and say that she doesn't know who Jay was with that night. In fact, she went home alone. That's what she's going to say. Now, although we have them on video at 1:30 to 2 o'clock in the morning, Jay, Brad, Brandon, and Lucy in the NRG festival, it makes no sense how they left him and decided to go home when you can clearly see he was intoxicated. And according to DCI Higgins, he was incapacitated. I mean, we're going to focus on that incapacitated word because that word is extremely strong. That word can describe so many different scenarios. One of those scenarios is not being in a position to give consent. So when people say willingly, someone's incapacitated, how are they willingly getting into someone's car? Unless They're getting into that car with people they know. The video that was sent into the WhatsApp group and we see Ayub driving, the person, in my opinion, that was in the passenger is Brandon. I can't confirm for sure if it's Jay. I think it's someone else. I think it's actually Lucy. But where is Jay at that point? We don't know. Could he be in someone else's car? And they had Jay's phone at that point, and that's when they start playing everything out. Whoever took that video then put it into the WhatsApp group because they wanted to control perception. They wanted to make it look like Jay had done something wrong, he's up to no good, and he's gone off with this guy somewhere. Remember, in that video, it was only mentions to be one Somali kid. But remember, that video was only meant to be for the family and friends. That's why it was sent to the WhatsApp group. At that point is when they decided to make a second version. We can speculate on reasons as to why, but they made a second version. Because if Jay was intoxicated, if Jay was incapacitated, then how the hell did he write that message without any typos? And like I said in the last video, why the need to explain the same thing twice? But this time you change the word Rolly to AP, and you change one Somali kid to now two Somali kids. Why? Back to perception control. You then have Lucy, who's friends with Brandon, who's best friends with Ayub, tell the world that Jay went off with people that he met that night and that they are strangers. Perception control, to make it look like she doesn't know what's happened. She doesn't know who he's gone off with. She knows nothing. All I know is Jay called me at 8:50. Now, 8:50 is very, very key. Why? Because Ayub slips up. And this is how I know this is Ayub Qasim's story. Of course, he has put this story together with the likes of Lucy and Brandon. I do believe they were both involved in putting this story together, giving you reasons as to why Jay went to the Airbnb and why Jay left the Airbnb. But what's really sinister here is that they've used Jay to tell the world why he went to the Airbnb, because they had Jay's phone. But the 8:50 is so crucial, the 8 o'clock is so crucial, and I've always said that. I've always said that. And this inquest has now given us the true reality of this 8 and 8:50. What we've just mentioned up to this point, ladies and gentlemen, is proving that Mark Williams Thomas was played. Mark Williams Thomas was played by Brandon. Brandon, Ayub, and Lucy fabricated Jay's whereabouts. They fabricated the screenshots of where Jay's phone last pinged. They put the phone there. They had that phone. The steps and the inclines that were mentioned in the inquest prove only one thing. It proves whoever had Jay's phone was only traveling up. Now, that's also crucial to the timeline, and it's also crucial to what Brad told us. Because remember, Brad told us he see Jay going down, which means Jay's phone would have still been active. Brad also told us that someone else was calling Jay, also proving that when Jay was off-roads in the ravine, his phone was still active. So Brad is telling us that he saw Jay going down. He told Isla that he saw Jay going down whilst on the phone. That phone call would have been at 8:30. It was later then told to Isla that he spoke to Jay after Lucy as well. Remember that. He spoke to Jay after Lucy. Now, the person that corroborates the story of Jay leaving the Airbnb is Brandon, as well as the witnesses that see Jay outside the Airbnb. But even their stories have a number of holes in them. We've already debunked it. One says Jay's wearing jeans. The other says there's no cabs in this area, which are both lies because Jay was never wearing jeans. And yes, there are cab ranks in that area. And there's other things that were mentioned within those statements that contradict what Ayub said. They don't entirely make a lot of sense. Another thing we have to take into account is the statements taken from these two new Spanish witnesses, exactly what Ophelia told us in the get-go. So how has Ophelia's statement now been split between 3 different people? Now, those 2 other witnesses have mentioned new details that we never heard before, but those details are lies. Because, like I said, there are cab ranks in the area and Jay wasn't wearing jeans. We know now that Brandon and Ayub are friends. So when Ayub was going to tell us, oh, but when Jay left the Airbnb, there was something on his phone, and Sluggy jumped in and said, Actually, Ayub was going to corroborate what Brandon had said. Remember, Sluggy's the name that Brandon mentioned, saying that he had gone mushroom picking on Facebook and Lucy had liked it. Ayub was basically going to corroborate what Brandon had said. And by him doing that, it also proves that these guys made this up. Ayub has confirmed that Brandon is his mate. They go way back. Maybe they go way back through Brandon's older brother, because Brandon's older brother is around the same age as Ayub. By Brandon staying silent this whole entire time, it just means that he was pulling the strings from behind the scenes. Let Ayub talk, let Lucy talk, let Brad talk. But what I'll do is I'll sit back behind the scenes and I'll feed misinformation to the likes of Mark Williams Thomas. Now, based on the information that we have been able to gather through this inquest, ladies and gentlemen, it's pretty interesting stuff. I want to take ourselves back to when Ayub first told us his side of the story. Let's listen to this. I'm not going to go through Ayub's full audio. We've heard it before. This is the first time Ayub told anyone his side of the story. There's something that Ayub says here which proves to us, based on the information that we know now, that this was all made up.
I was like, all right, sweet, bro. If you want to go, innit? The bus stop is there. And then next thing, you know, I'm getting a call at like 9 o'clock saying the mate's gone missing. He rang them, said he left.
Okay, this is the most important bit. So he gets a call at 9 o'clock to say that Jay's gone missing. 9 o'clock. The timelines that we were given initially were 8 o'clock. He left the Airbnb at 8 o'clock. Cool. Through the inquest, it's been mentioned that he would have left the Airbnb around 7:47. Cool. Again, just taking those times and keep listening.
And the next thing, you know, I'm getting a call at like 9 o'clock saying the mate's gone missing. He rang them, said he left mine, said I'm off. And then,
so he rang them to say that he left the B&B, he's off, and then he rang them 50 minutes later to say what?
He rang them 50 minutes later saying, yo, I'm in a fucking ditch. I need water. I think I'm going to die. That's what he told the girl. I think I'm going to die.
That's what he told the girl. I think I'm going to die. So according to their original story, Jay left at 8 o'clock. Lucy would have last spoke to him at 8:50, according to their original story. Ayub just said he got a call at 9 o'clock, which is only 10 minutes after Lucy would have spoke to him, saying that he was lying in a ditch, cut by a cactus, needed water, and he felt like he was going to die. Now, if their story is true, like I said to you guys months and months and months and months ago, the only way it is possible for that to be the case is if Jay would have left the Airbnb way before they're telling us he left the Airbnb. The reason I say that is because from the Airbnb to the viewpoint takes 25 minutes. From the viewpoint to Jay's point of destination where his body was found takes 3.5 hours. So how is Ayub saying at 9 o'clock he got a call from Jay's friends saying that Jay was lying in a ditch, cut by a cactus, telling the girl, clearly Lucy is referring to, that he is going to die? The only way their story and their timelines make sense, based on the facts that we have been given through the inquest, is if Jay would have left that Airbnb 3.5 hours before 8:50. Because what ditch would he have been lying in, telling Lucy he feels like he's going to die at 8:50, according to Ayub and his story and his narrative? It was 3.5 hours before 8:50. It means that Jay would have entered that ravine around 4 o'clock in the morning. That's only if he would have been speaking to Lucy lying in that ditch at 8:50. You have to ask yourself why Jay would have sent screenshots of his location. You have to also ask yourself why they wouldn't have gone to that location if he was there. They all had enough time to get to that ravine and help him. If he was really lying in some sort of ditch, the only ditch he could have been lying in is the one that he died in, unless Jay got up and continued to walk. You remember Isla told us that Jay was concerned and asking whether the cactuses were poisonous. Clearly, there must have been a conversation had between Jay and whoever in order for Isla to say Jay was concerned with the cactus cut. Ayub also says in that audio that Jay's last ping location was a good 20 to 30 minutes behind his. So again, that doesn't make any sense as to why they didn't go and help Jay. That call only happened at 8:50, and we are to believe that Jay left the Airbnb at 7:47. It means Jay wasn't that deep into the ravine. Then makes you think, if he wasn't too far from the road, why would he continue walking into the ravine deeper and deeper? Why would he just turn back and walk back? But by the sounds of their story, ladies and gentlemen, it kind of looks like they already knew Jay's fate. They already knew Jay was going to be found dead. And that's why they told us he was lying in a ditch and he felt like he was going to die. They told us that from day one, and that's exactly where we found him. Then we have Ayub telling us he's Brandon's best mate. We have these 3 strange Spanish witnesses, and all of a sudden, we've got Brandon coming out of the woodworks corroborating Ayub's story to say that Jay actually left the Airbnb. 12 days later, you also have Brad backing that story. by saying, yeah, I see him in the mountains and he went down some little bit. If he was anything like me, he wouldn't have went all the way down there. He would have turned back and went back on the path again. Again, it all seems made up. Either way, ladies and gentlemen, none of this is making any sense. It never made sense to me why Brandon never came forward with this information in public. There's also things that have happened at the Airbnb that Ahab's mentioned that don't make any sense. The messages between the friends seem extremely planted. We've got two people more or less coming forward about Jay sending them messages. One of them is Josh, and the other's Brandon. There's so much to get through and think about when it comes to this Jay Slater mystery, ladies and gentlemen, and we're probably going to be here for a while. So make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if we are newly watching, and of course, I need to know exactly what you guys are thinking. So just leave all your comments down below. Plenty more Jay Slater videos uploading this week, so make sure you guys don't go anywhere, and I look forward to seeing you all on the next one.